Hi, I'm Charles Staley, founder of the Staley Performance Institute at Arizona Grand Resort right here in Phoenix, Arizona. For the past 25 years, I've trained people from all walks of life, and over that period of time, I've been a competitive athlete as well. When you get to be past a certain age, it's not so much the age that's the problem, but it's kind of how healthy you are from an orthopedic standpoint, and you really need to be doing everything you can possibly do to keep yourself in good shape orthopedically. One thing I've learned from these experiences is that your body doesn't just automatically stay healthy all on its own. When you train, and particularly when you're doing things like weight training and sprinting and anaerobic activities, you're actually developing microscopic injuries in your muscle and in your connective tissues. And these injuries are part of the adaptation process, so they're not only okay, it's actually a necessary thing to happen. But over time, if you don't intervene, you can get to the point where these injuries accumulate to the point where you've got to do something about it. And eventually, if they go long enough, you get something called, that massage therapists and physical therapists call trigger points. And trigger points are hyper-irritable little patches of muscle that can lead to spasm, and they can lead ultimately down the road to scarring and all sorts of problems. And so this is something that you've got to deal with either through massage therapy or through some other forms of intervention. Trigger points can eventually develop into spasm, and what spasm is a piece of muscle that is involuntarily contracted. And the problem with spasm is that if you think about the blood vessels that run through a muscle, the contracted muscle is actually preventing that muscle from receiving nutrients from its own blood supply. So it becomes what we call ischemic, meaning it's lacking oxygen. And then over time, spasm actually becomes scar, and everyone's heard of scar tissue. And scar is a problem because now, to do any given task, your muscle has less contractile tissue to actually accomplish the job. So it becomes kind of a vicious cycle where spasm leads to scar, and then the border of the scar leads to more problems. So you really need to intervene in some manner or another. Traditionally, the way that you deal with soft tissue issues like spasm and trigger points and scar tissue is with massage therapy, and that could either be through a massage therapist or a physical therapist. And this is something that, you know, if you're in hard training, you should be receiving massage. And I think a typical frequency of this is once a week, but as important as massage therapy can be, there's a couple of downsides. First is obviously the expense. Massage therapists can cost anywhere from $45 to well over $100 an hour. Another problem is that you've got to get yourself to and from the massage therapist's office unless you've got somebody who can come to your home or to your office or to your place of work. You know, a third problem that I think doesn't get enough attention is that you've got to find somebody competent and skilled, and if you're not experienced with massage therapists, you may have no idea. It may really take a little bit of experimentation to find somebody who's skilled enough to give you the help that you need. So I'd like to stress that you should be receiving massage therapy as often as your finances and time will allow. But for people who are training hard, you really do need more than that. You really need a practical day-to-day method of keeping your soft tissues healthy and pliable, and that's where foam rolling comes in. Well, foam rolling came into existence, I think, roughly 15 years ago, and this has been one of the more interesting advances that I've seen in gyms over that period of time. And you know, for the first time ever, athletes now have a way to perform self-massage. Although foam rollers are a great tool, they're not perfect. If you look at rollers, these closed-cell foam rollers that have been in a gym environment for any period of time, this one's been in a gym for 6 months or so, they get kind of old and ratty looking, and they kind of get deformed, and they can start absorbing bacteria, and they get kind of smelly. So one of the downsides of this tool is, you know, if you're running a professional facility, you know, you want to have equipment that looks professional and is hygienic and durable as well. Well, I'm here today to show you a better tool, and this is an advance on the traditional closed cell foam roller, and this is called a RumbleRoller. And one of the first things you'll notice about this particular roller is that it's got these unique raised teeth on its surface, and that's significant for a couple of important reasons. When you start rolling on any type of roller, you'll find that as you're going over trigger points and damaged tissue, that it's actually somewhat painful and a little bit sensitive. And then as the roller does its job, what happens is your tissues get healthier, and then the roller that used to be painful and used to feel too aggressive now feels not aggressive enough. And I actually teach at gyms all across the country, all across the world as a matter of fact, And over the past year, I'm starting to see people rolling on PVC pipe, of all things. This is how healthy the tissue is getting. But then you end up running into additional problems, because when you roll over PVC pipe, although that pipe may be appropriate for soft tissue, it's definitely not appropriate for harder tissues such as bone. So one of the things that's really kind of nice about this is that these teeth are firm enough to penetrate soft tissue, but they will yield to bone. So what's kind of nice is you have pressure that's targeted for the tissue. You basically can't go wrong. You're going to have pressure that's invasive enough for soft tissues to kind of ease up those trigger points, but as they roll over bone, you're not going to have any risk of an injury to those surfaces. So in addition to the functional benefits of the RumbleRoller that I just went over, I think you can't overstate the aesthetic value of this in terms of the white roller that I just showed you. This roller has been in use for quite a while, and these stay clean, they stay professional looking. I noticed when I first installed these in my own facility, on the first day of class, my students came in and everybody went right to the RumbleRoller just checking it out, and it kind of has that kind of an appeal. This is not going to start stinking on you. This has been made with a bactericide that's been incorporated into the molding. So I think in addition to having a tool that is functionally superior, you also have a tool that is aesthetically superior as well. And I think that makes a big difference when you want to have a professional appearance to your facility. Well, now that I've described to you some of the unique benefits of the RumbleRoller, I'd like to show you how we use it here at Staley Performance Institute. Okay, we're here with Todd. Todd, thanks a lot for helping us out. And we actually at Staley Performance Institute do a lot of barbell training, a lot of skills that come from powerlifting, Olympic lifting. We also use kettlebells, strongman training, that sort of stuff. You've got to prepare for these movements. You can't just jump in and do that. So we actually start all of our warm-ups with 5 minutes of rolling. So can I put you down on the roller here, Todd, in terms of, we're just going to have the roller parallel to the spine right now. And a lot of times, especially when you're tall, people have thoracic mobility issues, meaning that the upper spine tends to be kind of curved inward, and that can lead to shoulder problems over time. So all I want him really doing at this point is just kind of letting those vertebrae settle into the roller, and he can actually roll horizontally as you see, or laterally as you see him doing now. And you know, when you lay on a roller initially, what you're doing is you're scanning. You're looking for areas of tenderness, and if and when you find an area of tenderness, you're just going to kind of sit or maybe rock gently back and forth on that until it dissipates. And if it does dissipate, then that's a pretty good sign that you found a trigger point. We can also increase the flexibility aspect of this by handing him a wooden dowel. A lot of our clients at Staley Performance Institute work at desks, as most of us do, and when you're at a desk for 8, 9, 10 or more hours a day, you get what we call desk posture, which is, you know, you're just kind of caved in. And then if you add to that the men that we train who have done resistance training, there's this kind of funny thing that happens with guys in gyms, and they tend to just train all the muscles they can see in the mirror. So they train abs and pecs and biceps, and all those muscles get shortened, and then you have more desk posture. And so that has to be addressed. And one of the ways that we do this is with the roller and using a wood dowel. We don't need weight with this, but we're already getting mobilization of the thoracic spine here because he's on the roller. So then from there, we're going to go overhead, and this resembles a snatch position, which we would do with a bar. And now we're getting additional mobilization of the upper back and the scapula as well. And if you think about desk posture, as we term it, this is really the exact opposite of that. And we don't want any pain on this at all. And if this is not terribly challenging and there's no pain, then I'll have you bring your grip in a little narrower. And the narrower the grip is on this, the greater the challenge is. And then at the same time, he can roll laterally a little bit as he's doing this. There's a number of ways to improve mobilization on this. And then when we go into the more complex lifts, Olympic lifting, snatching, things like that, we really find that we have no problem at all, even for our clients who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s. We don't really use this on the lumbar spine. Research has shown pretty conclusively that the lumbar spine is really designed more for stability than mobility. So again, we're focusing more on the thoracic spine with this. you always want to have either your head cradled and or kind of hugging yourself so that we get the scapula out of the way here. But again, we're just looking for areas of tenderness or tightness. Most people, when they first go on the roller, go too quickly. You just roll over those areas, you never find them. So you're not looking to avoid pain in this case, you're looking to kind of find areas of tenderness, and if you find them, then we just stay on that. All right. Once you've used the roller 4, 5, 6 times, you'll kind of know where your problem areas are, and you can kind of go right to those areas instead of spending a lot of time scanning them. And honestly, it is amazing what you can accomplish just in 5 minutes on this. Good. Okay, and from here, why don't we go to, let's go to IT band, okay? So we'll have you roll over onto your side. If there's one area that you're likely to feel issues with, it's going to be this. The IT band is a strip of fascia that basically runs down the seam of your pants from your hip to your knee. And what he's doing here is you've got several points of contact. So if this ends up being too tender, you can have your weight on your hands and both feet. So you can really do a lot in terms of regulating the amount of pressure you have on this. And people who do a lot of lifting, people who do a lot of running, especially distance runners, cyclists, are likely to have tender IT bands. And when we have people in the gym who have knee issues, the first thing we go to is IT band, and invariably that IT band will be all jacked up. And how is this on you, actually? I mean, is this not too bad? So you're fairly healthy, but you've been rolling for a while. So, all right. For the purposes of this video, we're not going to do both sides, but I just want you to see what that looks like. Can we switch now to piriformis, Todd? This is another area that is a typical problem with people. And what we're doing is we're crossing the knee to externally rotate the hip, and then you are just rolling front and back, and you're just looking for that tight external rotator. Okay. And again, if this is too tender, you've got many points of contact. You can take weight onto your hands, onto your free foot. And you know, what I like about what Todd is doing here is he's going very slow. He's actually searching for those tender areas. And this is really a big one for most people. And then we'll just show you a couple of other applications here. One would be hamstrings. The most gentle way to do this, and most people don't have problems with hamstrings on this, but you can just be in a 4-point position, right? We're just rolling from hips to knee. For most people, this will not be aggressive enough. Most people don't have trigger points in their hamstrings. So the way that you intensify the pressure on this is just by crossing your legs. And you could actually do this straight as well, but the main point is just to get the load on one leg alone. And you can actually rotate back and forth on this as well. So in addition to rolling back and forth, you can have some rotational component to this. Okay. And we'll show one other application of this, which is just to roll over face down, and we'll go quads. You can go quads and shins on this, as a matter of fact. You can use that same leg crossing maneuver here because most people on the quads are going to be just fine. The exception to that would be if you've just trained and you have a lot of post-exercise muscle soreness. This is a nice way to reduce that soreness. Good, good. And you can actually go right down to the shins. And we're just going to roll down there. Good. And there are numerous applications of the foam roller, but those are some of the common ones and the ones that we use most frequently here at Staley Performance Institute for people who are doing heavy lifting. And it really does make a huge difference in terms of your ability to recover from workouts and to lift pain-free, because one of our little mottos is that you want to stress performance over pain.